Every time these CEOs open their mouths, the only thing that spews
Okay.
forth is platitudes, nonsense, and a severe misunderstanding of not only their customers, but just video games as a baseline. We have Microsoft CEO coming out talking about how video game companies are no longer competing against one another. No, instead they're competing against TikTok. And the only
What?
way to be able to compete
Oh,
is
geez,
with
right.
better margins. Why are you guys like this?
Xbox
I
said that.
swear, the video game industry and video games are so easy to figure out. Just make better games. And I'm sure there's going to be some people that are going to say, LD, it's not that easy. And to which I respond,
Yes.
then you shouldn't be making video games.
But also,
If you make a game that is good enough that I can't put it down, that means I can't pick up my phone. Then we have Amazon out here lamenting their long...
I think get one free pause. Yeah, Microsoft said that their competition is TikTok. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Waited exit.
Also, yeah, sorry, I was gonna say, yeah, that makes sense. Like if you can't figure out how to make a good video game, like maybe the game industry isn't for you. Like it's just a creative medium. If you're not that creative, I don't know what to tell you, man.
From the games industry, tail between their legs, revealing that their 15-year-long plan of buying a game platform, of building these studios and making games, of buying Twitch, all of it was to fuel their ambition to take down Steam by buying them out of the industry. All the while they're failing, nobody's learning any of the lessons that need to be learned from any of this. So today, we're going to be talking about just how deluded these CEOs are and how little they actually think about or care about the games that are being made or the customers that they're supposed to be serving. How Steam still does nothing and comes out on top. And how one dirty little book
Steam
is going to ruin everything. But before that, I heard that you were having trouble finding gifts for this holiday season.
I think you just put this out, so I'm not sure I can skip this, to be honest.
You ever seen a pen do this? Thank you to Novium for sponsoring today's video. For a while now, I've been contemplating why we have seen such a sharp decline in quality from AAA games, where a lot of these harebrained decisions are coming from, how quickly this industry has just been carved up, commodified, part and parcel. It just feels like every single move is being made to just make things that much more worse. And I've been trying to just track this mindset down, get a finger on it, and I kept hearing about this book that's titled Press Play, Why Every Company Needs a Gaming Strategy. And it came out this year, and it's been endorsed by multiple brands, most notably by Xbox. And this book is crazy. The whole entire thing is basically a corporate handbook about how more companies need to get involved in gaming, not to make games, but to fuel their revenue, drive engagement, and to monetize attention in the digital age. I haven't even finished this book yet, but the opening chapter of it just tells you everything that you need to know. They start by celebrating Burberry and Balenciaga for selling cosmetics in crypto games. They frame the decline of cable television as an opportunity to be able to keep consumers constantly engaged with brand content through interactive worlds and video games. And they actually claim that this is why Microsoft doubled down on gaming, and it's why they spent nearly $70 billion buying Activision Blizzard back in 2023. But not once, not a single time do they ever describe players as anything other than consumers, these flocks that need to be herded towards more ads, more spending, and more manipulation. There's no talk about why people play, what they enjoy, or what makes the experience worthwhile, because, well, that's just not the concern anymore. Not for these executives, and I think that we can see that mindset perfectly reflected in Microsoft's own CEO, Satya Nadella.
So to us, the way we are thinking about gaming is, first of all, now we're the largest publisher after the Activision. So therefore, we want to be a fantastic publisher, similar approach to what we did with Office. Yeah. We're going to be everywhere in every platform. But most importantly, the game business model has to be where we have to invent maybe some new interactive media as well. Because after all, the gaming's competition is not other gaming. Gaming's competition is short-form video. Yeah. And so if we as an industry don't continue to innovate, both how we produce, what we produce, how we think about
I guess short
distribution,
form
the
video
economic
pulls you
model, right?
guys
Best
more
way to
away
innovate is to have good
from
margins.
gaming.
Yeah, because that's the way
But
you can fund.
Not
what?
competing with other game companies. Now, that is a strategy. It's not one that I'd recommend to anybody else, but it does make a lot of sense coming from the premier publisher of some of the most I'll pick it up on sale games in the industry. When you stop competing with the rest of the industry, your priorities shift and your quality shifts with it. I cannot be the only one that looks at nearly every new Xbox release and says, yeah, that's a video game, instead of saying, damn, that's something I need to play. How exactly does that fit into your business strategy? And the part that really gets me is when he starts talking about treating Xbox the same way that they treated Office. What? The Office business is sustained by other businesses and institutions, not individuals. I don't know a single person that uses Office at home. Most people are using Google Docs, Notion, or Obsidian. The entire model relies on corporate licensing, not customer loyalty. And trying to apply that thinking to video games just proves how disconnected this leadership is. Their focus is completely shifted. Instead of building great games, they're out here trying to make sure that every single screen can run some version of their ecosystem. It's all about service expansion, tiered access, add-ons, subscription padding, more studios to be able to feed that pipeline, and cuts anywhere that do not serve that loop. When you're not competing with other studios, you are no longer competing on quality. And when you're competing with social media, all you're really doing is chasing engagement. And if your content isn't any good, well, neither is your engagement. Bro, just get it over with already. This is the slowest, most painful exit I have ever seen. Their next console isn't even a console. It's a hybrid console PC,
It's
reportedly
cool,
shipping with
but
Steam already integrated, which from a hardware standpoint, sure, that sounds fine. A mid-range build for people
like
that want to get
even
easier access into
sorry, get into that. Like even the Steam, the Steam handheld Steam Deck is better than this thing. I mean, it's cool. I can play Xbox games on it, but like the Steam Deck is basically a handheld PC, even though I can only play certain games on it, and I have access to the Steam library. If I wait long enough, a lot of games that will come to PC will come to PC, which means they'll come to Steam, which means I can just play them on the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck is much cheaper. So, like, I don't know. Like, I get that you guys don't have competition anymore with the whole console wars being over, but like, you guys can't try, can't doesn't mean you guys can't still make console. I guess it is because they bought Activision Blizzard. That's why their price set to skyrocket. I thought when they bought Activision Blizzard, they were just trying to save them from Bobby Kotick. They could have easily just sold it back to them, like to themselves, so they could like sold it to somebody else that isn't Activision, or the other people, Activision or EA. That was it.
PC gaming, but it completely kills the point of Xbox as a platform. If Xbox games are already on Steam and Steam is going to be included with the console, then what exactly is Xbox supposed to be? Steam winning yet again by doing nothing. I am just so tired of the circle that these guys speak in. We're competing with the attention economy. We need better margins. No, you need better games. You want people's attention? Make something that we can't put down. Tons of developers are already doing this by creating something that nobody else has made,
I can't
by
miss
building a
BG3.
culture of quality that earns loyalty. Tell me how you're competing with the attention economy when the next From Software game comes out. Tell me how that works with the next Larian project that's going to drop. When Sandfall does it, there are studios that are out there that are commanding attention because they deserve it. Look at Baldur's Gate 3. Most players have hundreds of hours in that game. It's a single player game with no new content in 2 years, and it is still pulling 70,000.
Where is it? I actually don't see it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, no, it's still Arc Raiders, Marvel Rivals, Dead by Daylight. I'm surprised that's still up there.
And concurrent players on Steam.
PUBG.
They
Wow.
act like we don't on a monthly basis see multiple games break through and find massive audiences.
Thought that game fell
Maybe
off,
that's
to be
because
honest.
those games are half the price and actually worth our fucking time. Then he goes on to say the best way to compete with short form content is by having better margins. Right, because nothing screams great games like an arbitrary 30% profit target. A number that is so divorced from reality, by the way, that it doesn't even exist in this industry. Most of these publishers are operating on razor-thin margins. Nintendo floats around 20% on a good year. PlayStation's under 10. The only company that I know of that's around 30% is probably Valve, and that comparison is a joke. Valve is a platform that makes games as a hobby. Xbox is a platform that needs games to survive. You cannot hold yourself to that same metric without destroying everything that makes this medium work. And of course, that's exactly what's happening. The only way that Xbox can sniff 30% margins is by gutting itself from the inside out, raising prices, laying off workers, cutting corners, and shoving unfinished games through the door to be able to save a quarter's worth of cost. Since 2024, they have laid off over 10,000 employees. Xbox Game Pass has risen in prices. They delayed the $80 price hike, but that's still going to be coming. They've slowed down their console production because their sales are down nearly 30% year over year. And Outer Worlds 2 somehow launched with worse optimization than Borderlands 4, which honestly is a feat in and of itself. And
you gotta turn it off.
What is any of this for? It's definitely not for the players. We don't even respect the Xbox brand anymore. Nearly every major release under their umbrella has underperformed or just vanished within weeks. The only real success that I think that they've had is the Oblivion remake, but that doesn't even count in my eyes because that was a third party that made that game. This is what happens when you stop caring about competition, when you stop caring about the games, when you start treating your audience like a reoccurring revenue stream. You turn one of the most creative industries on Earth into a soulless factory, predictable, devoid of life, safe, and still somehow failing. I hope that you guys realize that none of this actually matters to these guys. None of this even interests them. That book that I mentioned earlier, Press Play, that's the playbook. That's the only thing that these guys care about right now. The opportunity that that represents. Other industries, and more importantly, advertisers, are salivating at the mouth, desperate to sink their claws into gaming because they see it as the ultimate frontier, a space where they can feed you product placement and advertisements for hundreds of hours at a time. Who needs a 30-minute TV slot when you can instead just live inside of an ad? And they're not even being subtle about it. Juice Van Duren, a business analyst and industry insider, said it outright. With Game Pass growth slowing down and regulators closing in on microtransactions, publishers are now pivoting towards advertising as their new cash flow. Zynga and Square Enix are already partnering with Gadsby to be able to inject ads directly into their mobile titles. And according to the New York Times, Xbox employees are now testing an ad-supported version of their cloud gaming service. That's the off-ramp. That's where they're headed now, away from creativity, away from quality, straight towards a world where the goal isn't to make better games, it's to make you stay long enough to be able to sell you something else. These guys aren't wrong that they're competing with social media. That's true for every single entertainment platform and format that's out there right now. There are hundreds of billions, if not trillions of hours being spent doom scrolling social media. You guys sit here and watch me for 20 plus minutes talking about video games, ranting about video games. But the solution to that problem is not more services. And I can definitely tell you it's not more advertising. It's just make better products, make better games, make something that grabs people's attention. But seeing that Xbox is a company that largely has been making games that nobody's really all that interested in, they're just going to fail in all of their ambitions. You know, I don't even think that these guys are even talking about the attention economy. Even though that's the discussion that they have and that's what they're kind of talking about, I think what they're really focused on is the indirect revenue that they could be making off of advertising. They are looking at these social media companies. So when they say we're competing with these social media companies, they're talking about how these guys have super low headcounts, barely do nothing, and all of their money is made through advertising. They see that and they want it. I think that back in 2024, ad spend was some odd $1 trillion or over $1 trillion. They want a piece of that pie. And advertisers...
It makes sense what he said. It doesn't make any sense that that's their metric for... Because... What? But I get it, what they're going toward, but like... You're just shooting yourself in the foot. What? That's all you're doing. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. Because you can't get a game that blows up like Baldur's Gate 3. Your competition is essentially TikTok. Because you can't point a finger at PlayStation anymore because the console war is over. So you just spun the wheel and it landed on TikTok. And you're like, yep, that's our competition now. Not Larian Studios, not EA, not what? Well, you already have the Activision. Nothing. It's the TikTok. No, the TikTok generation. Like, okay, sure.
Want access to this industry, and that is a terrible combination to have together. I don't think that it's going to work. Personally, I just don't see it happening because maybe it'll work in some spaces, but with the declining quality of AAA games and the increase in competition that we're seeing from independents, most people are just going to turn and go in another direction. Why do you think I would want to sit around and watch ads in a video game, let alone pay for a game that would have advertisements in it? Well, I could maybe see that kind of thing working in the free-to-play space, sure, but chances are that's way too narrow for the kind of money that these guys want to make. That's not what they want. They want it everywhere. They want to hold nothing sacred. Notice how this conversation has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with video games or even really video games as a business. It's just musings of these executives and their plans for the consumers and how they plan to usher them towards more sales and more revenue streams. And in that ambition, I just don't think that these guys understand anything. I think that they are so blinded by a veil of cash over their eyes that they can't see anything past the opportunities and are completely ignoring how this industry works, why we want to play these games, or what we're actually interested in. And I think that that is a recipe for disaster. And the funny thing is it's one that's already played out. I have a tendency to forget that Amazon is even involved in the games industry outside of Luna, their failed version of the already failed Google Stadia, and Twitch, their streaming platform that's basically running on fumes at this point thanks to poor moderation.
What was the other game they made? MMO?
Twitch is mostly just become a haven for botted views, debauchery, dog shocking, and manipulation at this point. But Amazon has made and published games. Heck, they even have their own storefront built right into the Amazon website. And if you've ever clicked you'll find Jackbox sitting next to Rope Hero Combat Spider Battle, Naughty Schoolboy Escape, Breaking the Chains, and My Spa Salon Massage Simulator 3D. Oops, sorry, no, wrong Amazon game store. Turns out that's the games and app store. If you want premium titles, then you need to actually specifically search digital games and you'll get a listing of the games that you can buy.
Throne and Liberty.
Not actually.
Isn't that game shutting down as well? Oh, yeah, I think it is. Because they've laid off their employees.
Play through Amazon. You have to launch those through their publisher's own platform. Oh, no, maybe you can actually use them in the Amazon Games app, which is another service that they have that has 5 games that I've never heard of and no search functionality. But you can buy games from the Amazon store.
There's an all games button right there, but I'm guessing that's all the games they have.
Right, and then load them in.
I mean, okay, I gotta say this. Was it the Epic Games Store? Not only do they have, I think, just about every game that Steam has, but they sometimes give away games for free. I think I have some games I don't even own on Steam on the Epic Games Store that I've gotten for free. Like, I mean, there's also GOG, which just moves DUI on their games, which is also nice. So I kind of want to buy some games on there. Yes, it games on there, but like if you guys are gonna make a game store, it's got to be a game store. Both GOG and Epic Game Store understands that so much that one of them gives away games for free and the other one removes DUI. You can't just have 4 games and call it a game store. Did you not look at your competition, or is your competition TikTok?
Into the Amazon Games app, and then you can play them. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Do they not realize how stupid that is? Why would anybody do that when you could just go buy those games directly from those platforms, or better yet, from Steam? And exactly, that's why nobody uses it. 15 years of Amazon in the games business, and they didn't want to let players search for games in their own app because, well, that means that you would not go to their website where they could just sell you other stuff. Now, Amazon's foray into the gaming space has never been about players or games or even convenience for that matter. It has always been about corporate aspirations trying to corner yet another market through sheer spending power and apparently also their incompetence. An approach, by the way, that has failed spectacularly, from their publishing efforts collapsing to their near inevitable exit from the space. Amazon has proven time and time again that you cannot buy your way into video games. Bless their little hearts. Amazon's failure is not something that has happened suddenly. This is something that's been going on for years. It's been years in the making. Back in 2016, they had took to the stage at TwitchCon to announce that they were supposedly going to be making their grand entrance into big budget video game development.
Okay, I get another free pass. I was thinking about my joke again. Sorry.
With games like Breakaway, Crucible, and New World. 3 projects that were meant to prove that Amazon could stand alongside some of the industry giants.
Amazon... Dawn and Liberty, also New Worlds, yeah? That right. They also did New World.
And instead, well, each one of those games ended up crashing harder than the last. Breakaway was quietly canceled after a lifeless alpha. Crucible actually launched, but then was unlaunched a month later.
Oh,
and then
remember that game?
deleted from history. And New World was the latest one and the best one, and it lasted
There
the
it is.
longest. People thought it might actually work, and then it slowly bled out, and Amazon finally ended development altogether. That's kind of always been the pattern with these guys. It's a lot of big talk, poor execution, a lot of money wasted, and a lot of messy endings. And it's defined Amazon's entire history in games. After nearly a decade of trying, all they've really accomplished is, well, nothing. And the craziest part is that none of this was ever about making games or video games themselves. Yes, the act of making games was never for the purpose of making games. Their entire plan was to disrupt Steam. That's what former Prime Gaming VP Ethan Evans had admitted earlier this year, that their entire goal was to take down Valve's platform, and their reasoning, we're bigger and we can do it. Reading Ethan Evans' post directly from LinkedIn, as VP of Prime Gaming at Amazon, we failed multiple times to disrupt the platform Steam. We were at least 250 times bigger, and we tried everything, but ultimately Goliath lost. The
bigger is not always better.
Challenge Steam started before I was VP of Prime Gaming, but we never cracked the code, not under my leadership or anyone else's. The first way we tried to enter the online...
Okay, I gotta do it again. You couldn't crack the code that both Epic Games Store and GOG cracked, especially Epic Games Store cracked on their first go. Heck, Epic Games Store isn't even any better than Steam, and they're still going. What do you mean you couldn't crack the code? What? Fortnite made Epic Games more money than you guys will ever have, I think. And they still have the Epic Games Store. Couldn't crack the code. What? NANI? I'm sorry, guys. We couldn't figure out how to get games onto our game store. I mean, it just seems impossible, right? Like I don't know how Steam did it. I don't know how Epic Games Store did it. But I mean, it's worked out pretty well for them so far. But like, what? Like, how do you get games onto your game store? Like, maybe if you try asking Epic Games, or I don't know, GOG or Steam themselves. I mean, if you wanted to compete with them, maybe you should. I don't know, learn from them. It's just a weird out there concept, you know. But I don't know, like streamers, for example. You want to learn to be a better streamer. Like, you gotta learn from those who are kind of doing well, you know, and then put your own spin on it. Like I said with GOG and what Epic does. So you know, but you know, small indie company, small company that sells like 1,000 items on a online store for the last few years. Company.
Game store market was through acquisition. We acquired Reflexive Entertainment, a small PC game store, and tried to scale it. It went nowhere. Then, after buying Twitch, we created our own PC game store. Our assumption was that gamers would naturally buy from us because they were already using Twitch. Wrong. Finally, we built Luna, a game streaming service that let people play without a high-end PC. Around the same time, Google tried the same thing with Stadia.
Store,
neither gained significant traction.
I want to check their store if it's still up. If they still are selling games. And, yeah. And if not, then yeah, what were you guys doing?
The whole time, Steam dominated despite being a relatively small company compared to Amazon and Google. The mistake was that we underestimated what made consumers use Steam. It was a store, a social network, a library, a trophy case, all in one, and it worked. At Amazon, we assumed that our size and visibility would be enough to attract customers, but we underestimated the power of existing user habits. We never validated our core assumptions before heavily investing in solutions. The truth is that gamers already had the solution to their problems, and they weren't going to switch platforms just because a new one was available.
GOG.
We needed to build something dramatically better, but we failed to do so. And we needed to validate our assumptions of our customers before starting to build, but we never really did that either. Just because you're big enough to build something doesn't mean people will use it. Man, that last line really says it all. Just because you're big enough to build something doesn't mean people will use it. It's the most honest thing that I think I've ever heard a tech executive say, and they somehow still don't understand what it means. We fail to understand user habits. No kidding. You guys fail to understand people. You fail to understand games. You fail to understand why players are even here in the first place. And I said this earlier last year. Evans was so close when he had said gamers had already found a solution. The problem is, what they don't realize is the solution that players had found was a solution to them. You are the problem we are solving. Amazon thought that they could brute force their way into the PC gaming space with money and marketing, but what they never understood is why people use Steam. It's not just a storefront, it's a platform built on trust. We trust that Steam is looking out for our best interests, and also it's pretty damn convenient. I think that Gabe Newell had a quote where he had said that the best way to beat piracy is just to provide a better service. Yet here you have Amazon putting out a storefront
and discounts.
12 extra steps beyond just clicking buy and playing a game. I wonder why you failed. Valve is not some faceless corporation that's chasing quarterly growth targets. It's a company that is ran by people who actually understand the medium and the customer. When Valve is making changes, as long as they're not being forced by credit card holders, it almost always is in favor of the developers or the players. Keep in mind that these guys have banned ads in games. They've held developers to their release schedules and more. They give creators real tools. They don't nickel and dime their users at any given chance. They just treat the ecosystem like it's a living thing, not a cash register. Meanwhile, Amazon thought that they could just buy up a storefront, buy Twitch, throw some cash at some streamers, make some live service games that are constantly pumping engagement, and that would make them relevant. But nobody cared because it wasn't built for them. That's the one thing that these guys can't seem to get through their heads, and it's that it doesn't matter how much money you have if you aren't selling something with the customer in mind. I think that this is the end of Amazon's adventure in gaming. While we've already talked about the platforms that they built and the games that they've developed, do not forget that these guys, their publishing record is the brown Midas touch of modern gaming. Lost Ark, Throne and Liberty, Blue Protocol, all these games brought to the West under Amazon's banner, every single one of them disasters in their own way, inflated player counts, botted numbers, performance issues.
Wait, didn't they also did Ark, didn't they? Lost Ark? They did.
Relaunches and suffocating monetization.
I totally forgot about that game.
One of them a reminder that their interest was never in the player experience, only in extraction. Honestly, I am so glad to watch these guys fail because it's the same road that Ubisoft went down. It's the one that Microsoft is already walking. The creative voice, the empathetic voice, the one that actually understands the player, has been completely replaced by executives who see art as leverage and culture as an algorithm. These companies think that they're competing for attention, but what they're really competing for is patience at this point, and a lot of these guys have already burned through it. Players do not want to be managed. They want to be inspired. They want games that capture them, games that make them feel like they were meant to be played by them. Spending money on a platform that is convenient and respects them, that's what players want right now. And until these companies start to remember that, or at least realize it, until they understand that games aren't made for engagement, they're actually made for real people, they're going to keep failing one after another, and I'll keep making videos on them. It is wild for me to hear one of these executives come forward to tell people that their plan essentially had nothing to do with video games or even players for that matter. It was all just an effort to be able to conquer Steam and hijack their revenue. This is like somebody that wants to coach professional sports that's never played the game or even watched it for the...
Hey guys, I'm not getting into streaming for the creative or like for the creative outlet of it, or just the joy of like bonding with my viewers. No, I wanna overtake the top streamers on Twitch. That's my goal. Like I'm not gonna put up a schedule. Like I'm not going to look at what games are popular. Like I'm not even gonna keep playing the exact same game my viewers want me to play. No, I'm just gonna like do whatever I want, go live when I want, and play whatever I want. Heck, I might not even play anything. I might just sit here and just like and do nothing. And then 3 years later, the top streamers are still the top streamers. I'm just down here like, well, what did I do wrong? I guess I should have just, looked at what they were doing, and I would have realized that, like, it's so stupid.
That matter. You know nothing. You don't know anything about the game, the players, nothing. It's just somebody that's just trying to go through the motions and believe that they're going to get the outcome that they want just because they spent money on it. But that's just not how any of this stuff works. It's faking it till you make it at a corporate level. I told you guys, they have no idea what they're doing in some of these companies. Nobody wants to listen to me. Now thinking about it, he laid out their
even
entire
listening.
plan. Twitch was a part of that plan.
The corporations aren't
Looking
listening.
at that platform, with as many issues as that platform has, it's not
I'll
profitable.
drink some water.
Its moderation is terrible. It's constantly in negative headlines all of the time. Why would you hold on to that platform anymore? I feel like we're probably going to be hearing some news on that pretty soon, especially with a lot of the layoffs that I've seen them have, especially when a lot of those layoffs are coming from key leadership.
A straw for this thing.
But I can't imagine they're going to hold on to the company. I just don't see it. I mean,
kind of blocks the camera.
Maybe make the argument that it's a loss leader for Amazon Web Services. I think I've heard Asmongold make that argument before, but with how politicized and polarized that website has become, there's no way. It's only going to have a negative effect anymore. It's funny that Amazon talks about how they were trying to compete with Steam, but these guys never understood or learned the golden rule. Steam is not an angel, okay? They do some heinous stuff. CS skins, as an example, an entire microtransaction ecosystem that has its own economy that's attached to it.
Yeah.
To the likes that nobody has ever seen before.
I'm just gonna say this one more. Hopefully, pause one more time. Like that's what I just said. Like they have the reason I think Steam does so well. Why they can just put like 90% off on a lot of their games and stuff, is because they have that CS:GO skin trading thing going on behind the scenes. The reason it's not blowing up in the news, even though it's been going on for so long, is because it's been going on for so long. At this point, they've already it's already been well established. Like anything new like that comes up, people immediately squash because it's been going on with CS:GO for so long. It's like FanDuel, right? A lot of people think that ruined football, and and I don't watch football, but a lot of people say that did ruin football, things like FanDuel. And this didn't really ruin like the game, the CS:GO, but it does definitely give Steam a lot of money because of it. And because wasn't around for any stuff that came out about it, but as far as I'm aware, I don't think I've seen anyone upset about the whole skin trading in that game. As far as I'm aware, everyone just seems to be a-okay with it. It happens in other games. People, there's videos everywhere about it. People just don't want to play the game. But like with that game, yeah, it's just a common thing. I think people just don't want to avoid going down that route of CS:GO, but they know they can't change it because it's just set in stone now. It's like FanDuel. You can't undo it. It's just a part of the game. But that's why Steam is able to you want this $60 game for 90% off and get it for like $2 or like something like that. Go ahead. It's all you. Take it. Oh, you want a Steam Deck? Hey, I'm Gabe Newell. I'm coming to your house. You can have one for free. Because they have the money. I mean, it still makes them look good in the player's eyes, but we just gotta we just ignore the dark underbelly that is CS:GO.
But they never compromise the quality of their games,
and there's also
the convenience and quality of the service. You never do that, and that's what these guys make sure that they never do. This is sales 101. You can pull some heinous stuff. You can do some gnarly things to customers. You can drain their wallets, but the product and the service always come first. If the quality isn't there, if you aren't selling them what they're there to buy, the rest falls apart.
I think about that, actually.
These guys have lost sight of that. That's their biggest problem. And they're blinded by money. And because they're blinded by money and these other opportunities, it's made it more difficult for them to make money. Looking at Xbox's situation, if Xbox was making Arc Raiders, if they made Expedition 33, if they made Baldur's Gate 3 or Elden Ring, do you guys think that do you think anybody would be complaining about increasing prices? Do you think they would have a hard time selling their consoles? Do you think that
If
they
they
would
made
have any
Expedition 33,
problems with holding
the
attention with
skins
the
they
Ascension
sell.
economy?
Jeez.
These guys are so stupid. Anyway, that's all I have. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. These are like some of my favorite topics to be able to cover. I love just rolling all over these guys. But follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. And catch me in the next one. Stay cool. Stay righteous. Stay safe. Peace.
Family. 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 Family.